Ever catch yourself, you know, daydreaming about controlling things with your mind?
Like, who hasn't, right?
Yeah, exactly. But what seemed like pure science fiction, this whole thought control thing, it's getting real. Thanks to, get this, something called neural interfaces.
Neural interfaces, huh? Sounds intense.
It is. And we're diving deep into your questions about them, all because of this super interesting article we found.
Oh, yeah. What's the article?
It's from Alternative World, and the title really grabs you. Neural interfaces. The future of thought control. Can corporations or governments hack your brain?
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean about grabbing you. That's a lot of questions packed into one title.
Right. And honestly, judging by some of the questions you all have been sending in, it seems like everyone's kind of feeling that mix of, whoa, this is cool, but also, wait, should I be worried?
Makes sense to me. It's brains, right? Kind of important.
Understatement of the century. So let's, break it down. What even are neural interfaces? Think of them like high-tech bridges between your brain and, well, machines.
So, like, our brains talking to computers and stuff.
Exactly. Alternative World describes them as systems that let our brains and devices have a two-way conversation.
A conversation. So it's not just us controlling them, they can talk back to us.
That's the wild part. It's two-way communication. They can read our brain signals, so we could, potentially control a computer with just our thoughts.
Whoa. Okay, now that's the sci-fi stuff I was hoping for.
Right. But it gets even crazier. These interfaces can also send signals back to our brains. And that's where the whole universe of possibilities really explodes. And maybe a few concerns pop up too.
Yeah, I can see how that could get complicated fast.
Oh, absolutely. And the biggest shocker, this isn't some distant future tech.
Mm-hmm.
Companies like Elon Musk's Neuralink, they're already building this stuff. Their goal is to basically blend human minds and machines.
Hold on. It's like actually happening now.
Right now. It's like we're living in the Matrix or something.
Crazy. So, like, what could we even use this for? Besides freaking out, I mean.
Well, that's the thing. The potential is enormous.
Yeah.
Alternative World talked a lot about how this could change the game for people with disabilities.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, imagine if someone's paralyzed, they could potentially control a robotic arm just by thinking about it.
Yeah.
Or someone with, say, Parkinson's, maybe they could regain brain function they've lost.
Wow. I mean, that would be incredible, giving people back their independence like that.
It's huge, right? And Alternative World really emphasized how life-changing that kind of tech could be.
But I gotta imagine it's not just medical stuff, right?
You are so right. It goes way beyond that.
Like, what else could this do?
Think about it. What if learning a new language was as easy as, downloading it to your brain? Or you could solve complex math problems in a snap. Alternative World even talked about things like boosting memory, improving focus, maybe even, and this is going to sound wild, increasing intelligence. It's like unlocking superpowers almost.
Exactly. But, and this is a big but, that much power. We better be darn sure we know what we're doing with it.
Okay, I am officially both amazed and a little terrified, which seems like a good place to maybe take a breath.
Yeah, for sure. We've covered a lot of ground already.
We have, but we've only just scratched the surface. Because, with every powerful tool, there's always the risk of things, shall we say, going a little sideways.
And when we're talking about something as powerful as controlling our own minds, I can only imagine.
Exactly. And that's where we're headed next, into the potential risks and ethical dilemmas this whole neural interface thing throws our way. The article in Alternative World paints a pretty wild picture, though. Imagine a world where we can communicate using only our thoughts. No more awkward small talk or misunderstandings, just pure, unfiltered, brain-to-brain connection.
It's a fascinating concept, but it raises some significant concerns about privacy. Think about it. Right now, we're already giving away tons of data to corporations just by using the internet. They track our every click, every purchase, every like, and use that information to predict our behavior, often to sell us more stuff.
It's true. Those targeted ads are getting creepily accurate these days.
Exactly. Now imagine that level of insight, but instead of just our online activity, it's our raw, unfiltered thoughts and feelings. What happens if companies start collecting, storing, and potentially even selling our brain data?
Whoa, okay. That sounds like something out of a dystopian sci-fi film, but in a way, it's just the natural progression of current data collection practices, right?
It's scary, but true. That's a chilling thought, having our innermost thoughts and feelings up for sale to the highest bidder. It's like the ultimate invasion of privacy. And the concerns go even deeper. Brain signals don't just reveal what we do, they reveal what we feel, what we believe, what we remember. essentially everything that makes us who we are. That's a goldmine of personal information that goes way beyond anything we've ever encountered before.
So it's like those algorithms that seem to know us better than we know ourselves, but on steroids. Imagine what corporations or even governments could do with that kind of access to our minds.
It's a sobering thought. Alternative worlds suggest they could potentially manipulate us in ways we might not even realize, influencing our emotions, nudging us towards certain decisions, all based on our own brain data. It really makes you question the very nature of free will in a world where our thoughts could be predicted, influenced, or even controlled.
Okay, so we've talked about data privacy and the potential for thought manipulation, but alternative world doesn't stop there. They also bring up the risk of hacking, which is honestly pretty terrifying. Imagine a world where hackers could target not just our devices, but our actual minds.
And as unsettling as it sounds, it's not as far-fetched as it might seem. Neural interfaces, at their core, rely on electrical signals in the brain. These signals can be intercepted or even manipulated, just like any other form of data. So instead of stealing your credit card number, a hacker could potentially implant false memories, steal confidential information directly from your mind, or even control your actions.
Okay, that's officially nightmare fuel. It's one thing to have your identity stolen, but to have your entire sense of self compromised, your memories, your perceptions, your very essence, that takes things to a whole other level. And as if all of that wasn't enough to keep us up at night, the article then dives into the potential political implications of this technology.
This is where things get really interesting and concerning. Governments are already grappling with the use of technologies like facial recognition and internet surveillance, and neural interfaces could be the ultimate tool for monitoring and controlling populations. Imagine a world where dissent is detected and suppressed before it can even be voiced, all thanks to insights gleaned from your own brainwaves.
It's like something out of a dystopian novel, the thought police becoming a reality.
Yeah.
It's easy to dismiss these concerns as far-fetched, but when you look at how some governments are already using technology for control, it's not hard to imagine this scenario playing out.
Yeah, it's easy to go down that dark path, isn't it? But alternative world doesn't just leave us there, thankfully. They also spend some time on the brighter side of things, like what could happen if we actually use this tech responsibly. Right. And this is where things get really exciting. Remember that idea of like downloading knowledge directly into our brains? Imagine a future where learning is instantaneous, where we can master any subject or skill in a fraction of the time it takes today.
Sign me up for that.
Right. Or think about the possibility of experiencing the world through another person's senses, sharing thoughts and emotions instantly, like without the limitations of language.
They even use the term thought sharing in the article. I don't know, it sounds kind of amazing and a little creepy all at the same time.
Yeah, it really highlights that double-edged sword thing we've been talking about. All of it, the choices we make today, the ethical rules we set, the regulations, all of that will decide if this tech makes us better or if it, well, leads us down a much darker road.
It really boils down to a pretty big question, doesn't it? What kind of future are we trying to create here? One where tech helps us be more human, more empathetic, more creative, or one where it takes away our freedom and just makes it easier to manipulate?
It's a question for sure. And Alternative World, they argue that we need to be thinking hard about this stuff now, like right now, before it's too late. How do we design this tech? How do we regulate it? How do we use it?
Exactly.
It's not just about the science anymore. It's about like what's right and wrong, how it changes society. It's about what it means to be human when the line between us and machines starts to disappear.
Whoa. Okay, so a lot to think about. And I feel like we're just getting started.
Just the tip of the iceberg.
But one thing's for sure, neural interfaces, they have the potential to change everything, for good or bad.
No.
It's like we're standing at a crossroads, and the path we choose is going to determine the future. So, as you go about your day, think about that. What kind of future do you want? And what are you going to do to make it happen?